What up, five?
Welcome back to Supremely Black Podcast. This is your boy D Rose, man. How y'all doing this week, fellas?
Everything's good with me this week. Got the typical usual life and aspects, but other than that, all is good. I'm keeping my mind and my mental protected, or trying to at least. So everything's good on my end. How about with you?
Everything's solid on my end. Actually, as we're talking, I think my little sister's competing. She made it to the sectional part of track, so they had like a little rain delay down there due to the storms or whatever. But so she is in the long jump and supposed to be running the 100 meter and then the relay. So I think they should be, I don't know if they've completed it yet, but it was delayed due to the storms in West Tennessee. So a shout out to my little sister Nunu for putting on. If she actually, when she wins, I'm going to say that, she'll be competing at state, which is May 23rd in Murfreesboro. So life is good. I can't complain, man. Everybody's still here. And so what's good in your world, Flake?
Hey, just out here still on this comedy grind. Got to hit that road tomorrow night here at ATL, do a show. Luckily for me, well, I ain't gonna say lucky for me, but our track season is over. Yeah, we did our little districts and we got on up out of there. I ain't expect us to be battling for the state when you look out there and for the girls track, it's mostly the cheerleading team. They left cheerleading and went straight to track. So, so I was like, hey, but they did their thing this year. They did their thing. Shout out to the middle child. She's made the high school varsity cheerleading team. Only freshman on the team, and she's still in 8th grade. So, shout out to her, and shout out for us to being able to pay for it. Because man, these pockets is naked. Boy, you hear me? Already before she even stepped foot in high school, they already like, hey, we need this payment in 2 weeks. We need this payment 2 weeks after that, and a month after that. I'm like, bro. So yeah, everything good. It's a blessing, but it's lint in my pocket.
I feel you though, but no, shout out to Lil Fam for making the squad. And I mean, you really can't argue that, because I've looked at it now since my little sister running. I didn't realize that these high school kids are that fast, because we didn't have track when I was in high school. But these little cats for real moving. I'm talking about in the 10s. Like, I'm like, I don't know, they real runners. So yeah, if you came from Gold Team Gold out there with them real runners, yeah, you ain't got nothing to do. You ain't got nothing.
Ain't no disrespect to the track coaches.
Yeah,
in middle school, no disrespect.
Yeah,
but it ain't like they get the best grade A coaching anyway. I mean, so it was some meets that they won and whatnot, and I think she got like 2 that she came in like first place in. But I ain't run track. My mom didn't run track. It ain't like I said, it ain't like the best coach, and I appreciate the coach what they do. But you can tell from like the some of the runs, the forms. Like I ain't even run. I noticed like some of the forms, transition of the batons and stuff like this. Like this is not the correct form or not the correct way. And you get to thinking like if they had the proper coaching, like how fast or how good they could actually be. Me and somebody else was just talking about that not too long ago about our high school not having a track team, and they got a track team, but there's no track at that big turf stadium that they renovated. It's not even there. But we was talking about it. It was like, man, if we had a track team in the school, man, we would have been out there dusting folks if we had, But anyway.
That's what's up, man. But glad everything, and there's a comedy stuff going though. I know you've been grinding. I know you say you got a new thing. Any new developments? Any new award shows or anything like that that's been going on? I know it's been a minute since we recorded, but
Nah, nothing new as far as that end go, man. Just kind of working. Well, I got a meeting tonight after this, after we get off here, to speak with somebody about possibly having a road manager or whatnot and get some things developed on that road a little bit more than what I'm doing. I think I've kind of hit a ceiling within the Tennessee area, so I've been trying to branch out. Well, I've been branching out of state anyway, but consistently branching out of state more than what I've been doing. And it hit to a point where you're gonna do so much by yourself, and then you need somebody who knows somebody to kind of get you into certain rooms, into certain places, and this, that, and other. So that's kind of where I'm at now. But I mean, we still here busting moves. We still got shows going. I'm producing my own shows and all that, still doing all that good stuff, but I just kind of hit a plateau where it's kind of like I got to hit, I got to talk to somebody who kind of like, put a little bit of sauce on it to get me in certain places where, I might go out to Arizona. They like, I don't know who Jay Flake is, but, get a road manager, might put a bug in somebody here, put a bug in somebody else in. They be like, all right, let's go and get a child here on that Southwest ticket and bust out a weekend or something.
Yeah, especially what you're doing independently though, because a lot of people with that comedy game, man, even the people that I've met that's in comedy, they be signed with people, so they already got a foot in the door already, so they can kind of move from state to state. Of course they're not the main act, but they do got people that's working with them to get them in them doors, so they are part of the entourage of some of the bigger comedians. So yeah, I mean, but shout out to you though. That's a huge next step. I mean, you never know what that could actually take you to, with having somebody else that can push you into them other places. So that's what's up, though. But yeah, you can go ahead and introduce the topic though that we was talking about in the group chat there.
Oh yeah, I know we've been missing for a while, but due to some of the research I was doing, certain things that run across my timeline that I go out and investigate and read about, I noticed that within the last couple of years, as especially our Black youth and Black people overall, the suicide rate has increased overall. Their rate has increased by 30% in our Black youth. And when I say Black youth, I'm meaning from like 12 to 21, 22. It has went up drastically, like 60% from where it used to be. So when I grew up, that's something that you rarely heard about, if any Black person commits suicide. Even as I got into my young adult years, that's something you rarely even heard about Black people committing suicide. It happened, not saying it didn't happen, but not nearly at the rate and the increasing rate that we're speaking of now. So I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on it as we sing some of this. What is going on with our Black youth? What is going on with our Black people? Some people say it might be some of the music that's going on as far as you got depression music as we didn't used to have. We went from stunting, drug dealing, this, that, and the other. Some of the music now is a little bit more depressed or just going off a vibe. We got fentanyl as you do some research. A lot of people is being, saying it was a drug overdose and it possibly could have been a suicide. Or some people have the thought of now our youth, as far as our youth go, we don't touch as much as we used to. We don't congregate as much as we used to. Like, when we was coming up, our age range, we go to people's house, sit down, barbecues, meet up with people. You get to touch, love, and hug on people. It's not just your phone in your hand saying I love you. It's actually somebody giving you a hug, asking questions, showing concern, and looking at you eye to eye and telling you I love you face to face. Or could it be simply that, during that pandemic time where we had to sit down for months on end and you just around a few people, or you were sitting by yourself that entire time, did it actually have a mental, block on some people, and, made them sit and have to think to themselves of, what is my value? What am I really worth? So I just wanted to bring it to the table, have this podcast discussion and get your guys' thoughts on that.
Just to kind of answer your question of what I think it comes from, I think about a couple times when I, mentor, especially young men that may not have a father figure, or just kind of feel like they're out here on their own, and you'd be surprised at what these young kids feel like they're faced with and stuff like that. And so I think for me, when you ask them like what you want to be or what's going on, I think the harsh reality is that a lot of different situations is that they feel as if it's no hope, and there's really going to be only one outcome: is that prison or jail, or nobody really loves them. You could it could be a kid, and I just think about Isaiah, one of them I was mentoring in Florida. He just felt like it wasn't no point in him living, because I mean, what was the likelihood of him being successful and things like that? And when you hear stuff like that, it's just kind of, man, well, how do you lose hope so early? But you really don't have a supporting cast. They just kind of feel like at an early age they're already surviving out here on their own. So it has to be a big piece. Is that what is the inner circle? What does their family really look like for that individual? Do they even feel that love? To your point, families don't link up like they used to. I mean, me and Cuz was talking about that when I was in Kansas City. It's drastically different from how it was. And typically, you know how it is. If when the grandparents leave, families start doing their own thing, and it's even worse. And I would use the word worse just because families should be close-knit, but it's even worse now is because everybody has their own little individual family things that they do. And you may go to your auntie house on this side if they super close, or they may be still clicked up and y'all do y'all thing, but it's way different, man. And so I couldn't really imagine what the outside forces, but then not having that family feel of what it would feel like growing up in today's time, honestly. Because it's a lot going on, and you are open to everything. Everything's around you. So it's the pressures of the world could hit a 9 or 10-year-old. Like when I think about, not Lil Cuz, but Lil Cam that was a part of the program when I was in Florida. It's just way different. They feel the pressure of a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, walking in to graduate from high school or something, and that's just how they feel, because they could be the oldest in the house with 2 younger siblings. And it's a lot of different factors that go into them feeling like life doesn't really have a meaning that area. So I don't have an answer, but I could just tell you just from live resources of like, this is how they feel.
Yeah, I don't think it's a right or wrong answer with this, but it's just where we're going. Maybe somebody that listen, we kind of figure out where we're going with this, or what are some things that might can keep you from, maybe want to go that route. Could it be that, we just always go to the pastor or talk to a cousin? We don't really reach out to counseling. We got an issue at home. We always been told you don't leave the house. Are we getting out of that as a Black community and saying, basically not broadcasting all our business, but being able to reach out to a close friend or another family member to just open up and talk about how they're feeling and let them know that you're feeling this certain way, and that they can provide their love for you, let you know you are worthy of being there.
Yeah, both of y'all touched on some important aspects and everything, but I will say this part, just speaking from a different perspective or point of view, is that globally we have expanded, and what I mean by that is in the technology aspect of realm and everything. So of course the numbers are true, and it is an uptick from when we was growing up in the rate of suicides and Black mortality and everything in America or in the world in general. But the reason why it is becoming more widespread, you got to think about it, is because of the World Wide Web, because of social media, because of different outlets like that when we was growing up we really just didn't have. So if somebody killed themselves in California, we wouldn't know about it unless it made the national news. And if it didn't make the national news, there was no Facebook to see a post from California. There was no Instagram to see to connect all of us together that live in different regions and different states and different, I don't know what the hell going on in my life, with different states and everything and all of that stuff. So I would say that has become a gift and a curse always. Social media has always become a gift and a curse. The World Wide Web has always become a gift and a curse because sometimes it is used for good and then sometimes it is used for the bad, and it puts out the negative stories, or those are the stories that you see more. But I would say that suicide has been prevalent in our communities for a long time, and to the very reasons that both of you spoke of. And the thing with that is that back to the social media standpoint, there's pressure. Trying to live up to these fake lives, to these fake stories, to these fake people that present themselves one way, but on the other way they actually live in maybe just like you or worse than you. But then there's also the internet trolls who come in and who add the pressure and then come in and say, oh, well, you ain't shit, or make up lies about you, or when you're down and you're sharing something that you need some encouragement about, instead of encouraging you, they compound on it and they add more of that anxiety, of that depression, of that stress on you. And so therefore it becomes a certain gravitational pull to certain outcomes or certain decisions that is stuck in your mind. And one thing about your mind is it's a strong tool, but it also could be your biggest demise because of the thoughts that go on in your mind, other things that transpire in your mind that sometimes only you know, only you and your whoever your higher being is, you and God know, and those talks and everything. But then sometimes you might share with somebody and they might help you or they might not, but it just depends on your community, back to what y'all said and talked about. And so there's a couple of different outlooks on why there is an uptick in it or why people may be doing it. And then there's also the aspect of it has been happening in our communities. It just wasn't broadcast because we didn't have certain avenues and outlets to broadcast them.
I think you made a hell of a point, man, because I was even, talking to some youngins about prom, and their reason for not even wanting to go was because they wouldn't have the fancy pictures and stuff to put on Instagram like everybody else has. If you notice, like, prom now looks like them damn kids going to the BET Awards or something, bro. It ain't nowhere near like we was standing in the hood, right beside the mailbox or the stop sign. It didn't even matter. Like, it was nowhere near what it was. You know what I'm saying? I took pictures on the black side of town. I was cool with some white boys, so we took some pictures at they crib. That was it, bro. It wasn't no Maybach. I definitely didn't have on no red bottoms, no designer, none of that. It was just regular, everything. But I think, one huge point is that, and I didn't even think of it this way, is that the younger generation now is forced to keep up with the Joneses earlier. So Spirit's point, that is very true, because you got to think, like, in school, what was the worst thing that could really happen? Somebody got on some fresh shoes and they could check you because yours busted. That's it. But now you can go to the internet and it's like, bro, this little dude, 15, he go to this school, he doing this. My girl like his picture, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, go ahead.
Not to cut y'all, but back then, busted shoes wasn't the worst thing.
I mean, yeah,
Come to school musty was the worst thing that could ever happen to you back then. You come to school musty one time, and that's gonna last the whole year.
Yeah, hey, but real talk though, that or smell like kerosene. Are we on you? Yeah, you better not say nothing. Right. Hey, you better not. Right, whole year, right? You know who that is,
right?
Yeah, man. And I'm just really glad that we didn't have to deal with that. But even when I have little conversations with my sister, she's 17. It's way different on that younger scale, man. And the only thing that I could really just kind of tie it to, honestly, outside of the social media pressure that I think is the heaviest, is that the lack of, in certain aspects of that family field that we grew up in. I think we may not have valued it as much because it was such of a normal thing for us, but now these kids I'm way in Houston, you know what I'm saying? I've been in Orlando, I've been in different places. Like, family isn't just all sitting in one hometown. A lot of people feel as if you know, moving away is doing different things. Like in the city. Luckily, my sister is close to him, so they can still see their uncle. You feel me? But I think that for me, if I say anything that would change, is just getting back to the roots of like that whole it takes a village thing, and so they can be able to bounce it off. They can get they masculine talks with their uncles and great uncles and anybody else that's around, and and you be around your auntie them and your grandmama them, and you'll learn how to really respect the woman and know what to expect. And they're probably going to hold you to a different standard, because a man really ain't got much to say to you until you're a man. They can give you a little guidance, but they don't really kick in until you old enough for them to really be able to say, hey, this how shit gonna go, you feel me? And so they can keep it real with you. They can't, the sugarcoat wasn't just a thing. So I really feel like if anything could, really change to kind of give a resolution and not just the issues, it's just getting back to that organic family feel and having them around the people that made you. You know what I'm saying? Some people, they don't have a big family, but in most of these instances, a lot of the cell phone is raising these kids. And they don't know what great uncle is, or it's different now, man. It really is. So they may not feel like his life really don't have a meaning, because I don't really got nobody to celebrate my successes with anyway. So I'm just out here, and I might give up. And so
yeah, and then one more thing to add to that about the key phrase that you use: these cell phones raising these kids. To take out the extended family dynamic and just bring it to the intermediate family standpoint, a lot of these kids have younger parents than what we had when we was growing up, and so a lot of these kids' parents still trying to be out in the streets, still trying to party, still trying to hit the clubs, still trying to get that groove on, staying at their nigga house while the kids at home, or staying at their woman house while the kids at home and stuff. And so literally these kids are being raised by the internet, YouTube, social media, different avenues and resources like that. And so if the parents took more time with the kids and with the younger generation and things like that, or even if the parents themselves, because let's not act like sometimes the parents ain't the ones committing suicide. If the parents themselves took more time in the structure of home and being with true, genuine, organic love and people who really cared about you and focused on the small things versus the things that society try to make seem big, I think that will cause a great shift in our atmosphere and in our culture and in our dynamics. So I just wanted to speak onto that phrase that you said, that the internet is really raising these kids, because that is a true standpoint, just because the parents remove themselves from a lot of situations because they still trying to live their life. They still trying to be him or be her. And that's just one key point.
Disagree a little bit, Spears. I think even back then it was kids raising kids, However, one point is it's easier these days to give them a phone or to give them the tablet, because if you are at a certain age and you just had a child, well, you probably watch a lot of YouTube. You probably spend a lot of time on Instagram. So it ain't nothing for you to hand the phone over to your kid or the tablet to your kid, and you watch this and both of y'all sitting on the couch as parent and child on the phone, both of y'all being raised by YouTube, getting your knowledge by YouTube or Snapchat or whatever social media that you're currently using. Back then, you had a young child, grandmama was still around or your mom was still around, where you ain't going out. You laid up and had these kids. Like, how many times I used to hear that growing up with one of my cousins, I had one too early. They like, oh, mom, what? No, I ain't lay up had these kids. You in the house. No, we ain't about to do that. So it wouldn't be no every weekend. You might get once a month to go out and kick it or whatnot if you had kids early. So it's
lucky on that once a month.
Huh?
Lucky on that once a month.
Yeah, you lucky on that once a month to keep it real. You real lucky on that once a month.
But that's my point. Now, because of what Rose said, families are so dispersed
Right.
in different cities and everything. You don't have grandmama, so the parents now are just leaving the kids at home, and so
Right.
they still going out and leaving the kids at home. So there ain't nobody telling you, "Nah, you laid up with these kids." It's just okay. Y'all know what to do. Y'all know what not to do. Call me or text me if you need me. I'm out, and then they leaving the kids at home to themselves. So that's the difference between now and then. So that's why I'm saying if some of the parents just stayed home, I think that would cause a great shift in our culture and in our society.
Right. Right. That's true. That's true. I'm gonna turn it a little bit and even say that the pandemic might have caused a great deal of people mental issues going on. You know, some conspiracy theorists that think of the medication that was used help with that, but just throw that out there. But I'm not going that route. Mine is basically, you know, and I experienced a little bit myself during the pandemic when I'm a person who likes to get out. And then when they shut everything down and I couldn't really go nowhere and see nobody else and this, that, and other, and I love my family to death and we had good times in here. But every day of doing that, you like, I just want to see a different face. I've been seeing the same faces for, you know, 10, 11, 12 days in a row. I want to get out. I want to touch or feel somebody. I want to give somebody a hug. I want to do X, Y, Z. And you didn't get a chance to do that. You just sitting in that room or sitting in your house that entire time. I remember I caught COVID. I was sitting in the bedroom for 7 days. I ain't really seen nobody for 7 days. Like it got to a point where it hit 1 o'clock. I make sure everybody else sleep. I would just walk around the house and then I go to the mailbox and come back or something like. So you know, it just reminded me like this wasn't solitary confinement like they do in prison. But I can only imagine if you sitting in that cell and you ain't got no TV. Like I can turn on TV, I can look at my phone, and I still was having problems. Like I couldn't imagine being in a jail cell and you get 30 minutes to go outside and look at the air, breathe some fresh air, look at the sky, and go right back in. Like I think a lot of people, I think that messed with a lot of people just sitting up like that and not able to do anything.
You right on with that, man. The pandemic, I think, highlighted everyone's, I'm not gonna say inability to deal with sitting with themselves, but definitely for people that bounce off of other people, it really hits you in a different way to really just sit with self. A lot of times we don't do that because it's uncomfortable. But you know, for people that were really needing to be around other people, that really caused, and that wasn't just a Black thing. That was just universally, I think, that caused a real issue, especially for those cities that you really couldn't do anything. We really didn't experience it in Houston. It was like 1 week or 1 weekend it was shut down. Outside that, we was right back outside. But you can still feel the difference in some of the stuff that you wanted to do in that little week or two where they were taking it, I ain't gonna say serious, but there were more restrictions. But once it was lifted, you was like, man, that was a long 2 weeks. But then you got other people that really went through it. So I couldn't imagine, and my prayers goes out to anybody that did make it through, that their family's still here, and just wondering of, you know, why did they decide to choose to, you know, control their own fate and end their life or overdose because of depression. It's still a real thing. We're still moving, but don't allow, you know, that you can be out and doing something and you still not address how you're feeling mentally, because at the end of the day, that's still gonna be there. After you put the bottle down, once you put the blunt out, once you get home from your friends, it's still real. So I'm a huge advocate of mental health, getting into therapy, you know. So for the young brothers, sisters, anybody that's listening, we can break that curse and from our generations. And it's all right to cry. It's all right to get some unbiased opinion and express yourself. It doesn't make you feminine, but it actually helps you be logical, and it will prevent you from going out and making some of these irrational and emotional decisions that occur due to you not having that, you know, problem solving and that logical thinking, because you're just so emotionally caught up. And with the displaced anger and you not knowing how to think or talk through it, you end up doing something to throw your life away. Either they'll get you or and lock you up, or somebody else will match your same energy. So it helps.
No, right on. And Rose, you hit basically what I was going to hit about the pandemic aspect is a lot of people just wasn't comfortable with being alone with their own thoughts and with themselves and everything. And so it made it hard to bear the weight of life. And so yeah, I'm not going to repeat everything that you said, but that was spot on in what I was going to say. And then the other part of it too is as therapy is becoming more of a increasing in population with us, that there's a lot of different avenues and outlets to find the help that you need or to talk to somebody if you feel like you have nobody to talk to. So I would just advise y'all, if y'all are in need of any help, need of an ear or whatever, use those resources. Call those hotlines and those different outlets that they have been posting all over social media, all over the internet and everything. Because again, the one thing about social media is it's a gift and a curse, but there are some good things on there that you could find and you could tap into to help you during your time of need and for the assistance that you need. And then I don't care what religion you are, tap into your faith system, whatever that is. And I know a lot of times we say we tired of praying or we tired of going to the pastor, or we tired of this, but that shit helps, to be honest. That shit helps. And it can keep you when nothing else can keep you, when your girl can't keep you, when your man can't keep you, when your parents can't keep you, when your children can't even keep you from thinking certain thoughts. God can. So I would just advise you to tap into your faith system and your belief system and sit with that. And then also just start getting comfortable sitting with yourself. Don't run from them thoughts. Because when you run from them thoughts, that's when you tend to do something irrational or whatever. Sit in those thoughts. Ask yourself why you have those thoughts. Ask yourself what it was that was the catalyst for this transition in your life that got you to where you are, and what can you do to day by day make a small difference for you to feel better. Find your peace and happiness, whatever that is, because a lot of times we look to social media for our peace and happiness, and we look to celebrities and industry aspects and financial things and material things for our peace and happiness. But sometimes you'll be surprised. Your peace and happiness could just be calling your brother, calling your sister, talking to somebody you ain't talked to in years, an old college friend or old high school friend or whatever the case may be, and just laughing because you ain't heard their voice and y'all reminiscing about some old stuff. That could be your peace and happiness. Shit, watching Martin or something nostalgic from your childhood or whatever, and just remembering the moment you were when you first seen that episode and still getting the same laugh from that or whatever the case may be. Comedy. Comedy is something because laughter is a medicine. Smiling is a medicine. So those are different things that you could do within yourself that really don't cost no money, that can help you just to be in a better place. And so I know we're running out of time, so I don't want to take up the whole time, but that's just what was placed on my heart and what I had to say.
Very well said, man. A lot of great points too. Flake, did you have anything before we close it out?
Yeah, for those out there, hopefully we touch somebody, keep them from doing that even if they thought about it or whatnot. But the suicide prevention hotline, you can call it, it's 988, and you can text it at 988 as well. Just go out and see what works for you. Talk to the pastor, if you need to talk to a pastor and a counselor. If you need to talk to a pastor, a counselor, and a family member, whatever works for you, you reach out as much as you possibly can to see what works for you.
Cool, man. But hey, we don't have a Supremely Black Person of the Week. I think everybody is amazing. Let's just go with that. I think that's the perfect way to end this conversation. I hope you find your purpose. We are back. So it's definitely good to politic with you brothers. And just stay tapped in for anybody that's watching or listening. We'll be dropping back consistently. We just had to reshape and get everything back together, man. But love y'all. Long live CC, and this is the Supremely Black Podcast.